3-pack random sealed first, but we're not going to do it first. This has 3 random packs and it has some sort of promo foil, which here's Zathrid Necromancer. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then 3 random packs, which if you're really observant, you can tell what they are based on the sides of these.
You need to mute.
I'm already on it, so we got a second there where we got a little overlay. So we're going to start with the Loot Crate right here.
What was the theme supposed to be for this one?
I want to say it was either Time? Time was either this one or the last one. And in fact, was Time
You want me
because we're starting with the Doc. Mr. Emmett Dr. Brown right here. Time Traveler Extraordinaire with his sweet little goggles there. Ash, you want to bust that open?
I'm gonna open it?
Yeah.
Can we open these? I don't want to open it.
Why?
Like, you keep it in a box and...
No. You put it back in the box if you want to, but
Okay.
there's no seal on it. And
Okay.
the thing that they intentionally do is they don't seal it so that you can, like, pull it out and look at it a little closer. I like how he's got the little jumper cables on it and everything, and in the back you can see his little jumper cable box coming out and all that kind of cool stuff. Oh, it is a Loot Crate exclusive. That's cool. Ooh. You guys have officially seen that mine's been out of the box. Alright, we've got a shirt here. What's the shirt say, Ash?
Be excellent to each other. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Wow, this is one of the cooler shirts that I think I've seen that I like.
I like the color. I usually
I
don't
like
see
the
a lot
color,
of
the fade
color.
out. Like, it's not too bright. It's a real subtle one. Alright, we've got the actual Loot Crate little time thing going on.
Oh, okay.
I've got a hoverboard
Hoverboard.
replica scale.
Whoa. What is
It
that?
is a Loot Crate exclusive.
It comes with little certifications.
Comes with certifications. I'm a certified guy. Excellent dudes, Biscuit Ed. Oh God, this is nice.
Can you take it off the stand or is it just... Yeah, it looks mounted.
It is mounted. Okay, so you can see it there. You can see in the reflection there. That's really nice. I will probably be giving this to one of my friends. Unless you put that back away. And we'll put the little things in there and all that. Okay, so this is actually one of the smaller Loot Crate ones. I think it's because all the stuff in it's nicer, because it's time themed. There's one more thing. Of course, something has to be Doctor Who themed.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
And it is a Sonic Spork
Oh gosh, I want it.
for my home. I now have a Sonic Spork. Actually, I should rephrase that. Ash now has a Sonic Spork. So now you can eat your cereal with the Time Lord. Really any meal, because it's a spork. And you can just spork out somebody's eyes. Like imagine me just going, whoop, and scooping out one of your guys' eyes. Ow!
Yeah, never mind, I don't want it.
Sporking eyes.
Does it light up or is it... It's all just one plastic. There's
It
no
is just one
electronic.
plastic thing. We'll be
No, it
hand
doesn't
washing
light
it.
up. It doesn't...
Yeah, it's not like a $50 spork. It's like a $30 spork. Is there anything else in here?
Check the
That's
box
cute.
out.
Inside the cute. Party on, dudes! And then we've got all sorts of time travelers. From all sorts of different cool stuff. So this is a smaller one, but I feel like the quality was higher in this one. Oh, they have a cool... The California Out of Time thing. People, for the Dr. Brown one. There's a lot of different references and stuff in here. Again, if you guys have nerdy friends, and you want nerdy gifts to people, and you like some variety of nerdy stuff, Loot Crate's a great way to kind of supplement and figure out what you want to give to people. Like, Brad had his birthday a while back, and I just gave him a bunch of Loot Crate stuff for the most part, and he loved it. And people will love this stuff that I give away for them too, after I give away all the stuff that Ash wanted to keep, but I'm not going to let her. Not really. Alright, so let's get to the topic at hand. The topic at hand is Magic cards. We're going to be busting these 3 packs. We're going to be talking about individual card power. Now, when you're playing, so for those you don't know, there is a format where you play with random card packs. It's sometimes called like Chaos Cube, Chaos Drafts, Random Pack Drafts, Grab Bag Drafts. But anytime you're playing something with multiple different sets, you're not looking for synergy because the cards will rarely have synergy in between the packs. It's harder to predict that. And individual card levels. So we're going to do a first pick for each, and then we're going to kind of build a sealed pool out of it. Where is the stand? The little leg stand. We're gonna go to stand mode. Stand by for that. Oh, it's Brad's house. It's Ash.
No, don't look
She's hiding.
Don't look at me. Don't look.
She's hiding her face.
Don't look.
It burns. All right. Whoa. You can see the computer. Whoa. All right. Let's see if I can get this stand looking good. Let's get this out of here. We don't need no keyboards. Whoa. We will be busting this. All right. So one pack is tons of Tarkir, dragons of Tarkir. Oh my gosh. Which is cool that that's a pack currently in it. We have the Xanthid Necromancer. We've got Khans. We've got Khans, Dragons, and Theros, which is unusual. Usually these random boosters that you find at big box outlets, Walmart, Target, etc., are not current sets. They're usually a set behind. I was actually expecting like Theros, M15, and maybe some other set. Meh. Anyway, so these sets will not particularly synergize together. So we're going to build a deck, maybe with our promo, maybe not, but talk about each first pick. Now, I think we're going to go ahead and start with the Khans, since it's already basically open here, because they pretty half opened it for me. Thanks, guys. All right. I can do it. I have faith. Okay, so let's talk about here. Now, we can talk about these cards in the environment of their draft. In a grab bag is going to be a little bit different. You're not going to look at for the environment of the draft. Let's say that in just regular Khans, triple Khans, there weren't a lot of 4-power creatures and it wasn't very good. Well, that's going to be independent of that. Like, how many creatures are going to have 4 power on average? And on average, I think this is decent, but not excellent. A lot of older sets have smaller creatures. A 2/2 for 2 can be strong. That other ability is not particularly impressive. I think the Delve cards here will shine a lot more. Remember, Delve is a parasitic ability. The more Delve cards that are in your deck, the worse Delve is, in fact, because it's taking away of that resource. So I'd say Sultai Scavenger is a really good pick because you're going to be able to use that Delve ability a lot stronger than normal. Alabaster Kirin is a strong card. Overall, I'd be happy to play it. Mana Fixing can be good. It can be hard to tell when you should pick it up or not, but I'm always kind of in favor of that. Jeskai Wind Scout is another strong card. Prowess is kind of this ability that'll go good in any set. 3 mana for a 2/1 flying is good, and when they can grow is also pretty strong. Tricky part, 3 color cards. You're unlikely to play 3 colors. It's going to be hard to have the correct fixing. This set has quite a bit of fixing to support the 3 colors, but most sets will not. I'm going to pass on Active Treason. More good, decent mana fixing. 2-color warrior themed things. This is another card you're not going to look too highly. Now, the fact that it's a 3/2 for 2 does make me think highly of it. Other warriors get +1/+0. Warriors is not a common tribe, but it's not unheard of. The big hit against it is it's going to be hard to be in 2 colors in a lot of set, especially enemy colors. All right, the Falconer. The Falconer is fine on its own, even without any other abilities. Outlast plays very well, but +1/+1 counters are fairly common. He himself is extremely strong, so I would put him with a card I like to play. Bear's Companion is probably the best card in the set so far, but it's not the best card for the grab bag set where we're playing 3 different ones, so I would pass on this. Retributions for the Ancients is playing with this counters theme, which you're not going to see enough to make a difference. Aerostorm is good removal, and Raid is a kind of a ability that you can use in any set. All right, and that's it. So out of this set, I think my first pick would be down to these 3 cards. And you're not going to know what colors are strongest, so you want to pick the strongest card by itself. I think Jeskai Wind Scout is worse than these 2. And I do think that Abzan Falconer is very powerful in being able to repeatedly use its ability and get more and more powerful. But 1 or 2 mana 3/3 can do a lot more work. So I think I'd start with the Sultai Scavenger. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the Abzan Falconer. It's very close between these 2 cards. The mana efficiency on this card is very high, but the floor and ceiling on this card's higher, so I'll probably go with the Abzan Falconer, but I would definitely know that the Sultai Scavenger is a close second right here. All right, let's bust open... Let's open Theros, actually. That'll give us a little bit of different flavor here. Dragons and Khans never really got drafted together, but some of the abilities overlay. All right, so we have Coastline Chimera. which is fine. 1/5 for 4 is fine enough with flying, and blocking everything is fine. 5 mana 3/7 is okay. Lost in the Labyrinth is a combat trick that I would consider underwhelming. Cavern Lampad bestows some strong ability, but 4 for a 2/2, Intimidate, or 6 for those 2 bodies probably isn't just enough. The heroic ability, you're not going to be playing that many things that target because you won't have that many heroic cards. More heroic cards create a deck where you can play more auras because you get more effect out of them, or instants or sorceries, whatever. But I think outside of the set itself, heroic is not going to play as well. And you're going to see that for most abilities. With the exception of parasitic abilities like Delve, most abilities are going to be worse outside of their set. Humans are pretty common, so I would consider Cavalry Pegasus, but I'm not sure if I want to be that aggressive. Silent Artisan's probably the best card we've seen so far. It's up in the air. It's just really vanilla. Return Centaur. There's a lot of sets that have graveyard themes, so I wouldn't mind picking this, but I wouldn't pick it highly. Satyr Hedonist, 2/1 for 2 is fine, and the ability can be useful, but probably not. Here we go, Rage of Proforos. I'll probably take removal first, even though it's not great removal. That said, Insatiable Harpy is a good, strong card. Now, it was better in the set because you had more auras and things to target with. So the Flying Lifelink was a very good base for a set where you're going to put a lot of things on it. Most sets you do not play auras and other instants and stuff as highly. You're a little bit more conservative with your cards. But it's close. All right, I'm down on the Hoplite. I'm out on the Spell Heart. You most definitely take the Whip. So the Whip is obviously the pick here just because it's super, super strong, being able to get your creatures back, etc., etc. Not a particularly interesting one, so let's go back and talk about these 2 cards. Do you take the Rage of Proforos or do you take the Insatiable Harpy? Now, obviously, we're actually taking the Whip, but which of these cards is more interesting? Do you want the unconditional, or it's not unconditional, 4 damage, can't be regenerated, can be pretty relevant, especially for older sets, the Scry Run, which I'm happy with, or a creature that you can build upon and add on to. Now, for me, I'm actually going to go with the Rage. And a lot of it has to do with the fact this says double black up in the corner, which I think makes it a lot more limiting. I'm not really sure which color decks or how much colors I'm going to be playing. It can be very easy to be a multiple colors. Sometimes some packs require a lot of synergy. Like if you think of Battle for Zendikar, a lot of the cards are weaker. A lot of the cards require synergy, so you might have to have to play 3 colors just to get enough power. And that's where Rage of Proforos comes in a little bit better with just that single red up top. All right, let's end it with the dragons. And we'll go on to building our sealed pool out of this. All right, Aven Tactician. I would be happy with this. Wouldn't be great. I'm happy with Hand of Silumgar. Just a 2/1 Death Touch for 2 is good. Dash is another one of those abilities that is moderately parasitic. And what I mean by that is it's hard to pay for multiple dash cards, right? You can pay, if you had 2 of these, 4 mana and dash out 2 if you're T3s. But if you draw another dash card and another one, all of a sudden the dash cards become harder and harder to play. So just having 1 or 2 dash cards in your aggressive deck is a lot better. Or in your just regular deck. Resupply, probably not playing. Pinion Feast, I'm out. Sidithi's Faithful. Exploit can be fine. I don't think it's particularly parasitic. The decks that played it played cards that wanted to be sacrificed. So I don't think this is a quote-unquote better ability because of the grab bag. I think it's just fine. I think it's a little better than that. Okay, Sprinting Warbrute. I'm a little bit high on that card. The fact that it's 5 for 4/5 and red is good. And the fact that you can dash it is even better. I think I'm higher on Sprinting Warbrute than I am on Stampeding Elkhart. Formidable is a fine ability. It plays well in the set. It plays well out of the set. It doesn't really take a lot into consideration for that. The double green just makes it a little less attractive, that's all. I don't want to pick a defender early. Here we go. I found a card I'll pick over Sprinting Warbrute or Hand of Silumgar, and that is Vulture's Aven. 4 for a 2/3 flying is suitable, and the fact that you can draw 2 cards off of it is amazing. Oh, look, a card I can definitely not play. Lightning Berserker's fine, but again, it's just usually gets blocked and killed. Tapestry That Ages is a weird card, and I do not think it's particularly good in most draft sets or this one. Thunderbreak Regent. I will actually take that over Vulture's Aven. But actually, it's not. Vulture's Aven will go in more decks. It'll do a great job on average. It's a very strong card. Thunderbreak Regent will go in your heavier red deck. It'll be a 4/4 for 4 with flying on the turn you play it. It will end the game shortly after. The fact that This card is probably like on a scale of, F to A. It's more like a B or a B minus. It's solid. It's always going to do a great job. You're never going to be unhappy to see it. Makes me really want to pick that card. But Thunderbreak Regent does a little bit more than that. It just kills your opponent. It's just a 4/4/4 with flying. No downsides. Nothing about it. Every game you cast it on turn 4 or 5 or 6, you're still happy to have it. You'd pay 6 mana for a 4/4 flying and be pretty good with it. The fact that you can play it on turn 4, and then, it does have that ability to punish your opponent, but that's not even that big of a deal. The big deal is it's a 4/4/4 with flying. That's the first pick. That's it. All right, let's see what this sealed pool looks like. Ash, did you have any thoughts?
Not yet. I will try to get some questions for you.
Oh, did I have more cards over there?
Yes.
Okay. All right, you want to start sorting them by colors?
Sure.
So we're going to sort them real quick so you can see what's going on. Just set all the colorless and multicolored cards together. And all the lands in a separate pile. Or basic lands, I should say. So we'll just take 1 second, guys. Now, if you guys had any questions on the first picks or anything else on that, just say so in the chat real quick. Just hand me the rest of your cards. Alright. So, before we go to our colored cards, let's just glance over our multicolored and colorless cards and see if there are any that we're excited about. Now, with that said, with excited about, I'm not going to make my choices based on my multicolored cards, but it will give me kind of an idea on tiebreakers and which way I should go. So I've got 2 multicolored lands. I like both of them okay. I'll be happy to play either of them. I've got 2 green-red cards, green-red-blue, and a green 2-color other card. So I could be in this sort of green-red-blue, whatever deck. I've got 1 piece of card that would help play that. So I could end up moving in that direction. That's a possibility. But I don't think that those cards are strong enough to make me want to heavily consider it unless I'm naturally there. A Crone Hoplite and Chief of the Edge are going to go in the deck if the deck is in those colors. Custodian of the Trove is fine in a very defensive deck. Tapestry of the Ages will go in sort of this very odd, unusual deck we don't have here, which would be mostly spell heavy, but some sets can support that. So let's look over our actual colors. Let's see, and we'll kind of give them a yay or nay. I want at least 7 playables. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 cards I'm pretty excited to play in red. 2 of them are pieces of removal, which is great. 2 of them are dash cards, which is fine, because I said I wanted 1 or 2 dash cards in the deck if I was building it. And on a lot of these cards have a single red, so it's fine as a secondary color. And then Thunderbreak Regent. So that's an attractive pool right there of red cards. The rest of these cards are okay. I would consider Lightning Berserker, but it's not exciting. Act of Treason can be good, but it's not often. Sarkhan's Triumph is not good in this deck, even though I have a dragon, because I do not want to play a card to get a card usually. And Sarkhan's Triumph doesn't do anything if I drew my dragon first. So let's look over to green. So we saw the green and the blue. I've got some 2-drops that I'm happy with. I've got 2 5-drops, but 2 5-drops and 2 2-drops do not make a deck. And then the Pinion Feast is also not a card I'm looking to play. I don't think I would play this color combination. I'm not excited about it. Ooh, come on. Focus well. Yeah, I'm not excited about green. I think I want to put that on the sidelines. Let's look over to blue. Sidith's Faithful is fine. Jeskai Windscout is great. Lost in Labyrinth is not good enough for me to play. Coastline Chimera is okay. Alright, so blue and green are looking kind of down. Let's check out black. We've got a good stack here. I'm out on Retribution. I'm happy on Sultai Scavenger. Return to Centaur is fine. Insatiable Harpy is fine. Whip of Erebus is fine. Hand of Silumgar is fine. Vulture's Haven is fine. So I've got about 6 cards in black that I'm pretty happy with. 2 cards that I'd kind of be down on. Alright, let's check white, which will wrap this up for what we would be happy to play. Abzan Falconer is great. Alabaster Cairn is strong. Smite the Monsters is good. Silent Artisan's pretty good. Cavalry Buggus I'm out on. Avon Tactician's fine. And Resupply is fine. So, I've got red, black and white with the strongest cards. Now, if I had a couple more playables in blue and green, I would consider going those 3 colors, just because I don't have that many strong playables in any 2 colors. And I do get a little bit of fixing for that, but I also get a little bit of fixing for this. So I will be running the Windscarred Crag, and then we're going to build a curve. And often your decks like this will be 3 different colors, just because some of the cards in other sets will work better with each other, just because of how they play out together. So I've got some 4-drops, I've got a spell, and we'll start with just the 1 color 5-drop. We'll see if we can play 3 colors with light color requirements. Now, it does look like we'll be playing... Alright, so I think we might be base black, just because a lot of our cards will require double black. Oh no! Let's pop this up a little bit. Pop this up a little bit. See if we can get a little bit better view here. There we go. That's the smite up top. Oh, camera stand, don't fall for us. Let's pull all this other stuff off. Alright, so we've got the Hand of Silumgar. We've got some 3-drops that are kind of exciting. We've got some bigger drops. Let's go ahead and put all our 5-drops plus together here. Now, I do think Sultai Scavenger is usually a 5 or 4-drop. I don't mind running the Centaur. It's especially nice with the Whip of Erebos. But more importantly, like, you're just going to need some amount of creatures. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Since we are in red and white, we can run the Akron Hoplite and the Chief of the Edge if they end up fitting the color requirements, as a little harder to cast 2-drops, but still powerful cards. I do want to run the Thunderbreak Regent, even though it's not one of the particularly easiest cards for us to cast. We'll put him as a 3-drop, and then 2 pieces of removal. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we're actually still low on playables. Where did the rest of those cards go? 17. So we're looking for just a couple more cards, and we would like to either have cheaper cards or more impactful cards here. We have 1 Sacrifice Outlet, which we could play with the Active Treason, but that is a 7-mana combo. Oh, come on. You want to focus for me, camera? Camera doesn't want to focus. Camera wants to fall.
Why don't you set it back down a little bit, and then we put something under it and prop it up.
Sure. Loot crate box be helpful.
That way it's more stable, and yeah. You just pull it down more so it's closer. Yeah.
Oh, we've got that side camera. You guys read this? This looks awkward.
I mean, you need to get a little closer, but you can make it. You can kind of spread his legs out more, and yeah.
Yeah, it's still kind of awkward, but all right. So we were looking for just a couple more playables and what I would consider this, fine pool. You've also got to realize your opponents won't have great pools either. All these decks are going to be a little bit disjointed overall. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 fairly strong cards that I'd be happy with. I would add in probably a little bit more high-end, the Cavern Lampad. It can be Intimidate, or it can be a 4/4 Intimidate for 2, which is underwhelming, or 6. So 2 underwhelming modes, but the fact that I have these cards like Cavern Lampad cost 4 or 6, Sprinting Warbrute costs 4 or 5. Sultai Scavenger can cost anywhere between 6 and 1. On average, it's going to cost you 4. Means that I have a lot of not actually expensive cards, which is a big boon. Now, we can count how many humans to go with Cavalry Warrior Pegasus. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this is a zombie. So you've got 4 early humans to go with it, which I don't think is great. And I don't think I particularly actually want to get any of those humans through. So I think I'm down on Cavalry Pegasus. I will put in the Silent Artisan. Just having another big body for later is nice, even though we don't have too terribly much white. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Lightning Berserker. So we do need a couple more playables. So we're at 19. We cannot play the Tapestry of the Ages. And I'd rather not play the Custodian because this is a more aggressive bent deck. So we're going to look through... I think we're playing all of the black cards except for Retribution of the Ancients, which is not playable. So that means we're throwing in the Active Treason here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It means, unfortunately, I think we do have to put in the Cavalry Pegasus. Now we're at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I think we're going to run 18 lands, which means I do need one more playable that opens up. Well, we have a couple different options, and one of them's a little interesting. We have Lightning Berserker. I don't think we have enough red mana to want to play this. We can only increase its power a couple times, and a 1/1 for 1 isn't often good enough. We have Resupply, which is a 6 mana spell that gains a 6 life and draws us a card. This is not the orient for the deck we'd want to normally play it in, so I'm out on this as well. And the last card we have is Snowhorn Rider, which does not look like a card you could play in your black-white-red deck, but we'll be playing it as a morph card, as a 3 mana 2/2, and it's going to slot right into our 3 slot right here as our third 3/3. It's going to do fine. It's not particularly great. There's not too many things you can do with it. I mean, we can technically whip it back, which is fine, whatever. But for the most part, it's just 3 mana 2/2. So I think this is how this plays out. We've got the Windscourge Crag, you know. But overall, I think that this is a fine, aggressive pool. There's some things I really don't like about it. I don't like that we're running double white, double black, and double red in this deck. But you're not going to have that many choices, nor will your opponents. So yeah, we just want to do a quick kind of pseudo-tutorial on how to do mixed format drafting and mixed format sealed. You can expect to have less playables. You can expect your opponent's decks to be overall weaker. You can expect most synergies not to work well, but at the same time, you sometimes have really unique synergies. And, when you have, hey, look, it's the sun. Did you know Brad owns the sun? The sun, he has 5 sons. He lives on Mirrodin.
You were telling lies.
I am telling lies. All right. Yeah. But when you're playing a multi-set format like that, when you're drafting or sealed, you can see really unique combos. Now, we didn't see too many in here that made you really like think, wow, that's really, really crazy, or that's really, really cool. But like, you know, let's say we ended up playing a heavy exploit deck that ran with, where did it go? The Whip of Erebos. Exploit Whip of Erebos is awesome. The fact that you can whip back your exploit cards is really powerful. And sometimes you get really wacky combos too going on. I don't think we had any that were like, whoa, crazy. But we didn't have the set. But if we had the set with Zenith and Necromancer and that came up, you can do a lot of really cool graveyard stuff in that, right? So there's a cool graveyard deck maybe in it. Not too much other things happened that we saw that was too crazy, but you could be in a situation, right, where 2 cards that we didn't get together, but could have been. Spellheart Chimera, right? I'm going to go ahead and read this to you because it's not focusing how I want to. But its power is equal to the number of instant sorceries in your graveyard, and it's a star 3 with flying and trample for 3, which plays really well with Tapestry of the Ages, the 4 mana artifact, where you can pay 2 and draw a card, and activate the ability only if you've cast a non-creature spell. So you can play this blue-red, maybe another colored deck that played a lot of spells and a lot of non-creature spells to pump up Spellheart Chimera. There's cards in the other Ravnica blocks where blue-red does the same thing, and you're kind of building this kind of wacky non-creature deck, and you can't normally get that type of deck running in just one set. Or sometimes there'll be a 2-card combo in commons that's like really strong, or maybe an uncommon, and you can see all sorts of cool different stuff in that. For more experienced drafters, I'd recommend it to break up the monotony of sets that you've played a lot. All right, guys. Ash, did you have anything that you noticed or you want to talk on?
Well, I know that when I draft that I usually want to choose a really aggressive deck and try to win as early as possible, because I always see you and other people play a lot more like expensive cards, and you didn't have a whole lot of small drops. So
Yeah,
what is the disadvantage to
She means high-costed cards.
high
not,
costing?
Not specifically price-costed, but high-costed for mana cost. So you're asking what's the disadvantage to playing a fast deck?
Yeah, like if you get into your, if you're drafting and you're pulling cards and you're pulling a lot of really small, really quick, effective cards that have a lot of, because that's usually how I really want to draft.
Okay, so there's different points to that. The first point is, in general, for most drafting, most sets do support an aggressive deck. Now, for any drafting, if everyone's drafting the same deck, or too many people are, you'll end up with a weaker version, so you'll have a bad version. A bad version of a fast deck just isn't fast enough and will lose to a bigger deck. The advantage to a fast deck is that often, if you're one of the people appropriately seated to be drafting the fast deck, if everyone else isn't, or some other people aren't, then you can win games before your opponent can do it. Now, there are tricky parts to fast decks. The first part, when you play very fast decks, is you have to know when to trade your creatures for damage. Sometimes early on it's right to attack with your 3 creatures, have 2 of them get through, and then your opponent just kills one of your creatures. You attack with 3 2/2s, and they have 1 3/3. And you trade 1 2/2 for 6 damage. And when it's right to do that, when it's not, is one of the harder skills to aggro. But aggro is usually slightly easier to play, and that there'll be less turns, less mechanics, and less onboard things to deal with. So it's a fairly good strategy. New players usually stick to aggro and mid-range, and I think that that's a smart thing to start with. Understanding combat basics is the most important thing, and playing control needs you to have that understanding and then not rely on being the aggressor. So it adds in more complexity usually. Doesn't mean that it's a better strategy. It just means that it's a little bit more difficult to play at the baseline. At the high lines, all 3 can be very difficult. Now, when you're drafting some sets, like let's say we're playing Battle for Zendikar, the current set, there's a couple of decks that are very aggressive, the black-red one specifically, and the green-red one. The problem is if one of those isn't necessarily, when we say open, it means other people are drafting it. If you try to make the aggressive black, or let's say you try to make the aggressive green-black deck, that deck usually doesn't exist. So sometimes you're trying to make an aggressive deck that doesn't have the right aggressive cards, so you just end up with a mediocre deck. If you're playing a grab bag format, aggro decks need a certain amount of creatures with the right curves. And if in one set, blue and white was the aggressive colors, and in another set, green and red were the aggressive colors, you can end in a situation where you don't have enough aggressive cards, but that's not usually as much of an issue. When you're building an aggressive deck, you need to prioritize your 2 and 3 drops. You need to prioritize your removal. Your removal does not need to cost a little bit. You do not need 1 and 2 mana removal. If your removal is very good 4 and 5 mana removal, that's fine because you're playing 2 drop, 3 drop, 2 drops, removal spell, removal spell, removal spell. You need to prioritize removal, but your good attacking creatures are actually more valuable than your removal. If you're in red, cards that deal direct damage to your opponent or 2 creatures have high value. If you're in other colors that drain life, like if you have a black card that said drain your opponent for 2 damage, that's not a great card unless it's on an effect you want. Like if you have a creature that says when this comes into play, drain your opponent, that's fine because you're getting double duty out of it. But playing a card early that drains your opponent for just 2 without them without any other effect, we call it a lava axe. Right, it's a 5 mana card that does 5 damage to your opponent. That seems like a good aggressive card, but in fact, it only wins you the games where you got your opponent to 5, and a lot of other cards can kill your opponent instead. You know, the card that kills your opponent's creature so you can attack for 5. That extra creature that it could attack 1 or 2 more times and add up to 5. So, you don't want to usually play a lava axe effect. You can. It can be okay, right? You can play a card that says, you know, X, deal X damage. It can be okay, but don't think that that card's the backbone of your deck. That's actually just the top of the curve, and it can be replaced by a lot of other cards. That's a good question. All right, guys. If you guys have any questions for us, just hit us up at mobiuspick@gmail.com. And me and Ash will be still working on our computer setups out there. It's a little bit more complicated than we'd had hoped to get our computer pieces plugged together. But